The NBA playoffs are usually pretty fun, and this year was no exception. From multiple Game 7s to legendary matchups, here is a full recap of the 2023 NBA playoffs. Denver is right now the best in the West. They were put up against the Timberwolves and would easily win in 5 games. But despite Denver being a 1 seed, Phoenix are the favorites to win the West. This is because the Suns currently have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul on their roster. In round 1, Phoenix faced an injured Clippers team and also knocked them out in 5. That logo to the right may have looked unfamiliar. Those are the Sacramento Kings, by the way. The last time the Sacramento Kings made the playoffs was 2006. That's right, 17 long years, 17 straight Aprils of Sacramento sitting on their couches and barely being sold to Vegas. But this year was different. The Sacramento Kings didn't just break their 17-year playoff drought, but they made the playoffs as a 3 seed.
About that throughout the year with the Sacramento Kings.
Don't get too excited though, Sacramento just opened their welcome back gift and the Golden State Warriors came out of it. Don't let that 6 seed next to their name deceive you. Golden State are the previous champs, looking for another one. Both Splash Bros are healthy, Draymond is playing great, and Poole, don't worry about him, he'll be gone soon enough. But anyway, in Sacramento, the Warriors were predicted to snatch at least 1 game on the road. Both games 1 and 2 were close and down to the wire, but the Kings held the slight edges late. Well, I hope you enjoyed that weird beam chant, cause it won't happen much longer. You see, this is the deepest Steph Curry's ever been. He's never been down 2 games to none in his career. But you know they're gonna dig themselves out. At home, the Warriors won Game 3, Game 4, and then Game 5 on the road. The Kings would also win on the road in Game 6, tying the series at 3 apiece. Now it's Game 7, the most fun game in the playoffs, the battle to win or go home. Sacramento has a home court, but let's face it, that doesn't matter. This Kings team is young, they're talented, but nobody on that team can guard Steph Curry.
Curry with Murray on him. 3-pointer. Puts it in! Oh, Steph Curry from way downtown. 6 of 16 from 3. Gets it back. Curry, 3-pointer. Bang! Steph Curry. Just how ironic, one of the worst road teams in the NBA during the regular season will have the biggest road win of the playoffs as Curry lays it up and in.
The Kings had a lot of flaws in Game 7, but seeing they're a fairly young squad and Curry scored 50 points, Sacramento should be proud they made it this far. Now, it's not a surprise that Grizzlies lost as a 2 seed. They had to face LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and whoever this guy is. In the end, the Lakers are more experienced and higher profile than Memphis. But it's more of the way Memphis got out which makes this bad. Remember, Memphis is a 2 seed in the West, and all season long they relied on Ja Morant, who, by the way, has a gun. But in the first 2 games, Morant was injured. Memphis was lucky to at least win Game 2, but Dillon Brooks had to say this after the game.
Maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care, he's old. You know what I mean? I was waiting for that. I was expecting.
I personally don't understand why someone as low profile as Brooks would trash talk the all-time scoring leader LeBron James. He's poking the bear, just what did he think would happen? Maybe to get booed whenever he missed a shot? Get outscored 35-9 in the first quarter of Game 3? Lose by 40 points in an elimination game? Just an embarrassing way to go out. I think John might be a bit mad about it too. Milwaukee is a 1 seed looking to bounce back to the finals, and the only thing that could really stop them are injuries. Would you look at that? The Greek Freak, Milwaukee's best player, hurt his back just 10 minutes into Game 1. So yeah, the 8 seed Miami went up 2 games to 1. Speaking of Miami, let's talk about them real quick. While some might say the Giannis injury gave them the edge, don't let that 8 seed deceive you. Last year, the Heat were the best in the East, and the only difference from then to now is a bunch of injuries. Most of their players are experienced veterans, capped off with star Jimmy Butler, who will play a major role in this series. And if you thought the Greek Freak was injured, well, it's Game 5 and he's back into the starting lineup. That means they should win, right?
Clock at 9, Middleton with Butler driving right into it. Count it, foul! Martin with Giannis there. It's a 2. It's loose. The lead, Jimmy Butler!
With Butler scoring the most points in Miami postseason history, the Heat are 1 win away from history. Game 5 was eerily similar to Game 4. In the fourth quarter, Milwaukee was up by 16, and then, surprise, it's Jimmy Butler. So yeah, on the road, down double digits with Milwaukee playing off their season on the line, Miami storms back. Who writes these scripts anyway?
Over the top to Butler, on the run! Jimmy Butler ties the game with a half second to go. What a play call.
In overtime, Miami knocked off the 1 seed on the road in just 5 games. This might go down as one of the biggest upsets in postseason history, and definitely one of the biggest meltdowns for Milwaukee. I mean, what a great job the Bucks did. They had the best team, the best player, and the best chances, but they could only win a single game in the playoffs. But hey, you heard it from Giannis, this season wasn't a failure. The East has mostly been controlled by the Big Three this year, Philly, Boston, and Milwaukee. But this 4-5 matchup between the Cavs and Knicks is somewhat underrated. The Knicks would snatch a surprise win in Game 1 on the road, and they wouldn't stop there, knocking Cleveland out in 5. This was New York's first playoff series victory since 2013. It's weird to think that Brooklyn is the same seed, a 6 seed, as last year when they still had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. But just like last year, they got swept. Brooklyn faced a no-nonsense Philly team with Joel Embiid and James Harden, who really only joked around when they tried a couple groin shots.
And there's the stare down and the step over. Wow.
Harden is gone.
You're wondering.
Boston is a 2 seed, and they knocked off Trae Young in Atlanta in 6 games. With the exception of a Trae Young buzzer beater, this series was pretty straightforward. Round 2 began with the Denver Nuggets and Phoenix Suns. The Joker seems to have a chip on his shoulder. Or maybe it's just Matt Ishbia. Anyway, he's won MVPs and got triple-doubles, but he's never made an NBA Finals. Ultimately, Jokic and Jamal Murray would take a step in the right direction, winning the series. But let's switch the perspective. The Phoenix Suns have never won a title either, but they seem to be more desperate for one. Kevin Durant and Chris Paul only have a couple more years left in the tank, but the Nuggets are still relatively young. After going down 2-0, the Suns were lucky to tie it at 2 apiece. I mean, with Chris Paul injured, DeAndre Ayton sucking, and their bench non-existent, Kevin Durant and Booker couldn't lead their team every night. That eventually led to the Suns' season ending. But probably the bigger story is the Phoenix home Game 6. At halftime, Phoenix got down by 30 points, at home in an elimination game. This almost feels like deja vu. Anyway, let's just blame it on the coach. This might be the most interesting series this postseason. 2 legends, the best shooter ever Steph Curry and the all-time scoring champ LeBron James, are facing. These two have faced each other in numerous finals, but this might be the last time they meet. But despite all the hype, the series wasn't all that great. In fact, most of the games were pretty lopsided besides Game 1 in Golden State.
Down the corner, Curry, some nifty dribbling, but a block by LeBron. Curry got him dancing.
Well, they wanted to switch. They wanted to get Russell on him, and they got it.
Reset, Curry. Down it goes again. We are tied at 112.
14-0 run. Russell guarded by Wiggins. Tough shot.
And Game 4 in LA.
Lonnie Walker guarded by Curry. Walker pull up. Walker hits another one. Now they put Davis back in the pick and roll. Curry lays it in, puts some English on it.
Those two down-to-the-wire games both came in the Lakers' favor, mainly why they won in 6 games. LeBron will be heading to the next round, but the Warriors have to do something they haven't done in a while. A self-reflection. How are they gonna bounce back with an aging roster? Where was Klay Thompson when they needed him most? What's gonna happen with Jordan Poole? Who cares? They'll probably win the title next year. The New York Knicks haven't made an NBA Finals in 30 years, and this is one of their best chances yet. They're not facing the 1 seed Bucks, but instead an injured 8 seed, the Heat. And, of course, they blew it. Instead of cakewalking against a team without most of their best players, the Knicks made this into a tough series. New York Stars showed up, but the rest of the team didn't, resulting in a 6-game defeat. Bravo, Knicks. There's always next year. Philadelphia and Boston are both good enough to win a title, but one of them will have to go home in just the second round. Boston started with home court advantage. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were expected to win both games at home, but then something unexpected happened.
To free up Max's playoff screens, right? It's a three. Good! It's Harden. Pounded by Brown. Screened by Tucker. Three. Good! Harden. Sizing up Horford. It's a three. Good! Harden's got 45! Timeout, Boston!
Yup, 33-year-old James Harden dropped 45 points to steal Game 1 on the road. Note that this was also without the 2023 MVP Joel Embiid. But when Embiid did return, they didn't actually get better, they got worse. The Sixers looked discombobulated, and Harden didn't have that same rhythm he did in Game 1. The Sixers would lose the next 2, meaning Game 4 was a must-win for Philly.
Horford switches on to Harden. Harden floater for the tie, got it! More to Tatum. Driving against Maxey, no whistle. Tatum got it! Butter!
And now Tatum gets a switch on Embiid.
Embiid bullies his way inside. Out to Harden for the three, got it! Smart. Got it. Did it count?
I don't think he got it off.
Did not get it off in time, it appeared.
In Game 5, Philly headed into Boston and shocked them again, winning 115-103 on the road. Finally, it seemed like we were trusting the process. The MVP Embiid and James Harden were playing great, and they had a chance to close out the series at home. This was their best chance in decades to finally take the next step, so what's the worst that can happen? Have the Sixers shoot horribly, play sloppy, and score just 86 points?
Tatum slips out, fires the three, made 2 in a row, make it 3. Jason Tatum.
Trying to get them to foul.
Tatum with the 3, that one falls. 16 points in the 4th quarter.
Now the tides had turned, and Philly had to go into Boston for Game 7. The task ended up being too much in the end, as they lost by 24 points. Great job, Sixers. You have the MVP and an aging Harden, but we still can't trust the process. Ben Simmons was the problem this whole time, and now he's gone. Now you're paying Tobias Harris, a man who scores 14 points per game, $37 million, and you still can't make it past the second round. This all resulted in Coach Doc Rivers being fired. There's a lot at stake in these conference finals. Each team has a motivating cause to win a title, and who more right now than the Nuggets? Denver has been a mile too high from reaching the finals year after year, but this might be their best chance yet. The one bad part is that they have to face the Lakers, the same team that's the reason they've never made the finals in the first place. Speaking of the Lakers, LeBron James just turned 38 years old. He broke the scoring record, and other than winning another ring, he doesn't have much else to play for. This might be LeBron's best chance to end his career with a bang.
Knocked loose, still loose. Porter dives on it. Davis dives on him. And Caldwell Pope comes out of the pack. Here comes Murray. Alley-oop to Gordon. Oh, what a play! For three. Shot clock at 5. Murray with Davis on it. He's going to have to put it up. Step back, three-pointer. It's good! Jamal Murray from way downtown. And Denver goes up 4. Back to Murray. Shot clock winding down. Puts up a 3. Bang!
When I said LeBron should end with a bang, I thought LA might steal at least one game on the road. But it turns out the Lakers bench forgot how to play offense and Dennis Schroeder forgot defense. I mean, for Jamal Murray to score 23 points in the fourth quarter alone when LA is up in a must-win game? LeBron's the oldest player on this team, but he's still single-handedly leading the Lakers. But if Game 2 was a must-win, then Game 3 was a necessity. If not, the Lakers would go down 3-0, something that doesn't happen often in LA. Everything seemed fine at first. The Lakers stars were playing well, and Scott Foster, despite being a little bloody, was still roughing well too. But once again, the one thing that killed the Lakers was their bench. 2 players traded for at the deadline, Jared Vanderbilt and D'Angelo Russell, along with Dennis Schroeder, were averaging 15 points per game. That's right, 3 separate players each averaged 5 points per game in 4 separate games. And with numerous turnovers, missing open shots, and struggling to defend Denver, the Lakers were swept. LeBron can throw as many cryptic messages he wants about his retirement, but this year was no doubt their best chance at ring number 18, and they blew it.
Reeves holding. James comes out of the pack. James on the drive, goes inside, stop, shot blocked, gets it back. It's over. It's over. Denver makes history. The Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history.
But one team that could still win their 18th ring is Boston. Sure, the Boston Celtics lost the NBA Finals last year, but the only team preventing them from reaching it again are the 8-seeded Heat. The Heat, a team that's composed of undrafted players, injured players, and then Jimmy Butler. Both the Celtics and the Heat have coincidentally faced each other in the last 2 Eastern Conference Finals, so this year will be the tiebreaker. In Game 1 on the road, Butler exploded in the second half to get Miami up 1-0. Game 2, Boston was looking to bounce back, but the Heat refused. A dominant fourth quarter gave them another come-from-behind win. Now at home, Miami blew out Boston, and holy shoot, they're up 3-0. The record for coming back down 3 games is 0-150, so that's pretty encouraging. Remember, the Celtics are in general good at winning. They've won 17 titles after all. But this specific lineup hasn't contributed to that yet. Yes, they've lost the finals, yes, they've lost many home games, but going down 3-0 against an 8 seed? No matter how good the Heat have played this postseason, that's just embarrassing. Instead of playing better, the Celtics are getting frustrated about losing. It doesn't end there. Al Horford, a center by the way, is shooting way too many threes this postseason and missing most of them. When Horford finally did make one, Jimmy Butler mocked him for it. Jaylen Brown wears a mask to protect his face. Well, he might need to protect his ankles too. Even undrafted players like Gabe Vincent are putting up 29 points off the bench. The Celtics aren't just losing to an 8 seed, they're being humiliated. If there's any way Boston can climb out of this, they need to beat Miami on the road.
The start, the stop. 3, Smart, good! Hit by Smart. Boston on top, 116-99. Big win, avoiding elimination.
Seemingly out of nowhere, the momentum had shifted, and now the pressure was on the Heat. Sure, Miami was hosting Game 6 up 3-2, but if they were to somehow lose this game, they'd have to go to Boston in Game 7. And at first, it wasn't looking good. Miami's best players, Butler and Adebayo, were struggling to shoot, and the Heat were at 1 point down 14. But just as Eric Spoelstra has proven throughout these playoffs, the Heat may not have as much talent, but they have the strategy. Even with Miami shooting 35%, the Heat bursted back to within single digits. But then came everyone's fear, Al Horford. The sharpshooter expected the comeback and had some late-game heroics to save the day.
Points for Miami. Defended by Horford. Butler drives, foul. Horford will pick it up.
Yup, so Horford just sent Miami's best player to shoot 3 free throws and take the lead. And after Butler splashed all 3, it seemed that the 8 seed was going to the NBA Finals.
White will inbound. It's off to Smart for the 7th game. Could have been tipped in, but the buzzer sounded. The light was on. It'll be reviewed. The offensive rebound. Oh, he got rid of it. And the Celtic win, and we're going to Game 7. The Celtics are going to win. There's a Game 7 back in Boston.
There's no other way to explain this moment, but the Celtics were just destined to win. In only 3 seconds, Boston missed a 3 and then scored a layup on the rebound. They were 0.2 seconds away from losing, but then our favorite NBA hairline Derek White came in and saved the day. And at the same time, Miami was 0.2 seconds away from partying into the finals. Instead, the Heat did something more embarrassing than going down 3-0, blowing a 3-0 lead. Now it's Game 7, the winner go home, and Boston are the heavy favorites. There are 3 main reasons why the Celtics are favorites. Of course, they're at home with momentum already in their favor. Also, as a team with the chance to complete the first ever reverse sweep, winning Game 7 would be monumental, proving that if one team can come back down 3-0, later teams would be encouraged they could do the same. Finally, with failing to close out the series in 3 straight games, Miami should be pretty discouraged. But in the first quarter of Game 7, that didn't show. Miami was shooting lights out from 3 and would get up by 7. At half, the lead was 11. While it seemed like the Celtics might make some miraculous turnaround and get back into the game, nothing was clicking for them. Jason Tatum rolled his ankle on the first play and was never the same since. Jaylen Brown was knocking the ball off his feet every other play, and Boston's bench only put up 16 of their 84 points. In the third quarter, Boston brought the lead down to 7, but a 12-2 run by Miami brought the game out of reach. When it seemed like a franchise with a long and winning history would pull off one of the greatest achievements of all, overcoming a 3-0 deficit, Miami stopped them short in a blowout Game 7 on the road. But maybe the bigger story is that the Miami Heat just became the second 8 seed ever to reach the NBA Finals. Next video, I will post a summary of the NBA Finals between the Heat and the Nuggets. So please consider subscribing, and I'll see you then.